live as we speak. Should be live. All right. What's up, everybody? We did it. We freaking made it. It is December 19th. Spider-Man No Way Home has come out, and I've seen it, and you've seen it, hopefully, and we're going to talk about it. This is literally the biggest movie of one of the biggest movies of all time, and that's not an exaggeration. Literally one of the biggest movies of all time. Okay, so short review before we get into it, and welcome. This is what I watched this week, episode number 12. I'm filming on Twitch live right now. You're watching on YouTube. This is the replay. So, yeah, check me out on Twitch if you want to chat with me live, and we're going to discuss some things about Spider-Man, so why not do it live instead of, in the comments down below, which you can also still do, by the way, BT dubs. All right, so short, sweet, little review before we start talking about spoilers and all of that jazz. All right, so it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Really loved it. Action-packed, heartfelt, funny, everything that you expect from like a Spider-Man Marvel movie. The biggest glaring issue and flaw, why it's not a 10 out of 10. This is not a spoiler, okay? There is some very strong tonal shifts that I don't really think work. And when we talk about it later in the spoilers, I will try to really give you some scenarios of how it could have worked. And I don't know if it really could work with what they did. They made a good choice, but I don't think it came together as well as it could have. But also, there's not a good way to do it, I feel like. So, the tonal issues is the only problem that I had, and everything else, top-notch. Recommend it. It's good. It's really good. So, go see it. If you're on the fence, which you're not on the fence, everyone's going to watch this. It's going to be a huge movie. So, there you go. There's my review. 9 out of 10, and everything else is really great. Filmmaking, great. Now then, let's fucking go. Let's talk about it. All right. Spoilers. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire are in this movie. We've got all the Spider-Men in this movie. Anyone who's played Spider-Man in a live-action film is in this goddamn movie. Can we just take a minute and acknowledge how awesome, how badass, how cool that is to see all these actors on screen being Spider-Man? The novelty of it. It's kind of a gimmick, but I mean, it's just awesome. Gives me chills to think about it. So, yeah, I mean, it's just so good. I can't believe they pulled it off. It works. Like, I wonder what people are saying about the portrayal of the Spider-Man character by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, because they are a little bit, Marvelized. They're not particularly their characters from their respective movies. Especially Andrew Garfield, he is way better, but he still kind of feels like the same character, but his mannerisms aren't as like awkward and stuttery and goofy as they are in Amazing Spider-Man. There's my dogs. What up? Yeah. Tobey Maguire's character, he's just kind of Tobey Maguire. What else? What can you do? But Andrew Garfield, they missed the boat on having him as a great Spider-Man, because I fucking love Andrew Garfield. He's an amazing actor. Gives the best performance outside of Tom Holland. Tom Holland is really awesome in this movie too, because he has a lot of things to work through in this movie. There's a lot of close-ups of his face. So outside of Tom Holland, who probably did give the best performance, Andrew Garfield had a lot to redeem himself with. There's a lot of emotional moments in this. Tobey Maguire did a great job too. But I just really the way that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 left off really didn't have any closure for that character. And I feel like this really wraps that up. He gets to save MJ at the end, and he gets to look at her and he gets to think, man, I'm somewhat redeemed in the fact that I'm here now and I've helped another Peter Parker save their love interest. and it just really it really is a send up for that character to resolve his whole arc. I mean, not really resolve his whole arc, because there's some kind of dad banding. His dad is a big part of that movie. But yeah, so let's just kind of go through what I really liked about the movie. Like, we'll pick apart some scenes here to discuss, because there's some good shit, man. The start of the movie, I really like the whole, everyone finds out who Peter is. We get to see a lot of the characters from the other movies. We get to see the teachers for a little bit, and they have their funny scene. We get to see Betty reporting the news, because she is kind of like the news anchor. And Ned's former girlfriend. And just a fun little intro, and it's really like it has some like stakes to it, because you're not sure what they're going to do about Spider-Man. He's Peter Parker, and they arrested him. They're questioning him, and it's kind of serious. It's like, man, could they really put him in jail? There's no one to stick up for him. Nick Fury's gone. He's off planet, which I don't know how they know that. They're just detectives. Or maybe it was like there was some kind of weird department, but they know he's off planet, but Peter doesn't? How is that possible? How is that? How does that make sense? But I wonder why Nick Fury is gone. And they have to bring that up. They have to have that go somewhere, right? Because otherwise he would be here not allowing all this Avengers shit to get taken. Because later Peter's suit doesn't even have Friday or anything, or Sarah, whatever he named, his operating system to help him with his suit. That's not even available. None of the tech's available, which is okay, because you want to have Spider-Man rely on his own superhero stuff. You don't want to have him relying on Tony Stark tech and all that, because he's not Tony Stark. He's Spider-Man. So that's fine. It's just kind of like a where's Nick Fury thing. They have to have that go somewhere, which they probably will, because it's Marvel, yada yada. And then the biggest first surprise, and I lost my shit, Daredevil shows up, Matt Murdock, and also played by Charlie Cox from the Daredevil Netflix show. Blew my mind. I was so happy to see him. I'm glad that he's in the Marvel Universe, for real, Marvel Cinematic Universe now, as Daredevil. I wish he would have came back and helped a little bit, but I get it. It's not his movie. It's not his time to show up and fight. But with all that chaos going on, and we introduced him, maybe he could have done something. But I'm fine with that. We don't want to bloat our movie any more than we have to, because we're already having two more recurring characters and other things pop-ups later. So I understand that, but man, it was so cool to see him. He got a good scene, and I did not expect it. Literally, I'd heard before the movie that Charlie Cox was cast as Daredevil, and I was like, all right, cool. Great. I love him. Glad that he's going to be in the cinematic universe. But I didn't know that it was this movie that he was going to be in. I thought it was something else down the line, maybe a show or something like that. Because here, spoilers for Hawkeye real quick. If you're not caught up on Hawkeye, like bleep this mute me for like 30 seconds. And I'll do this whenever you're back. But so here we go. In the Hawkeye show, they just now introduced, in the 5th episode, Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. Kingpin. And he's also played by Vincent D'Onofrio from the Daredevil show. So, we are really digging into this world. Does that mean Punisher's real in here too? I mean, it has to. Luke Cage, all them guys are canon now. Basically, because they're all in the same universe. Defenders happened, right? So, they're all canon. I don't know if they're going to do anything with those characters, but, so we have those people here now in the universe, which is really awesome. Okay. So, moving on from that, he gives them some legal advice and says, hey, you escaped this one. They can't really hold you for anything. There's no proof or whatever they say. I don't really understand it, but, it's fine, because you can't have Peter in jail. He's not a fugitive, he's just got to live his life, but. And then here comes my other kind of complaint. But it's not a deal breaker. It's not as big as the tonal issues that we'll get to here in a second. So the other thing that didn't really fit with me in this was Doctor Strange acted a little strange, huh? Get it? But he just didn't kind of feel like himself. Hey, what's up? I got a first time viewer. I don't know how you say that. Aki. You kind of look like Zol. I gotta look that up. Gotta look up who that is. But thanks, I guess. Maybe. Hopefully. Anyways, we're talking about Spider-Man. Have you seen it? Let me know. I have questions or want to talk about something specific. Shout it out, and I'll answer it or talk about it. But we get to the Doctor Strange part, and he's acting all cool, and it's really cool that Wong. Oh no, sorry. That's okay. But I'm gonna talk about the No Way Home. Okay. He said no, sorry. I just thought you looked like Zool. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then click off. So, all right. So Doctor Strange, he doesn't act exactly like the Doctor Strange that I'm used to. He's still kind of a dick, kind of an asshole character, but just it's crazy. Why does he do the things? Why does he do this for Peter? Why does he really do this spell, put the whole multiverse at risk for Peter? You could argue that maybe, well, he didn't know that it was going to go this bad, but why even do it at all? I don't understand why you would really do it if you're him. But I don't know. You have to have the movie happen, right? So that is what it is, I suppose. You can't and he's gonna have setup, and he has the setup in this movie for his next movie, which comes out really soon. Multiverse of Madness. So my camera's blinking and it's distracting me because it says 0M. So I'm fixing to run out of memory or something on my card, and that sucks. Because I'm not even close to done talking about this. But I guess I'll just have to use my gosh dang copy from. Yep, there it is. No more space on the memory card. Fuck my goddamn motherfucking life. All right. This copy it is, which looks shitty. But anyways, Doctor Strange, he just felt off a little bit. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch is fine. It's just he was written in a different way than it didn't feel like the natural Doctor Strange that I know. And before the movie came out, some people speculated that it wasn't actually Doctor Strange because of that fact that he probably wouldn't do this thing. He wouldn't do this. So someone else is impersonating him. Someone else is doing this or that. But it seems like that's not the case because in the trailer for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we kind of get into seeing him doing other things with Scarlet Witch, and so it seems like he is just Doctor Strange. So that's the event that sets our whole plot into motion. So it had to happen that way. But yeah, there it is. And then he gives him this little arm gauntlet that he can zap, and it sends the bad guys to these little cages that they're housed in, which was super quick. As a very plot convenient thing that he could make this little bracelet out of the metal and give it to him. But you have to do it, right? And it just kind of goes by so fast that you don't even have time to think about what's happening. You know, like, okay, this and this are happening, let's roll with it. And you're fine rolling with it because you're into the movie. And the villains start showing up from the multiverse. Anyone who knows Peter Parker starts showing up. And we get Alfred Molina, we get all the characters. And gosh dang it was so cool to see all the villains show up and do their thing and have fun and talk, and it makes me feel so good inside. To see Jamie Foxx, like, he's like the baddest of bad guys in there, and he gets to redeem himself. I really like Jamie Foxx in this movie. What's his name? Willem Dafoe kills it. Of course, Green Goblin is fantastic. You get the Goblin laugh. He looks almost the same as he did back then, which is pretty crazy. So, good stuff. Who else is the villains that we got? Lizard Man was fine. Sandman was fine. I didn't know if they were going to get old Thomas Jane back. Is it Thomas Jane? No, Hayden Thomas Church. I knew it was a Thomas something. Hayden Thomas Church. Maybe I'm mixing up his name somewhere, but I didn't think he was going to be in it at all because they have him in just the sand form the whole time. But they kind of sound like his voice. But then he shows up at the very end. Excuse me, for a second. So I was like, oh, they only had him. Whoop, they only had him for like a day of shooting and whatever. They had to just have one scene with them. And the same with Dr. Connors. And I don't even know if that was him because I don't know if his voice was very different. And they showed him for a second, but it may have just been like a picture or like a shot from the other movie. And they just kind of like green screened the back out and they placed him there in the frame because he didn't really, it looked like he didn't move around. He didn't do anything that would like really have to be done in this movie in particularly, you know? So yeah. What else happened? Then they're going the Doctor Strange thing. Then they have the Doctor Strange fight, and Peter uses the power of math. It's the power of math, people. That's a Star Trek reference. Then he geometries Doctor Strange up, and he traps him in this mirror dimension thing. And whenever he talked about the mirror dimension, did this, I was like, why didn't you do this for Thanos? Why didn't you put Thanos in this mirror dimension thing where you can't affect anything out of this or whatever. I guess he could have just escaped like Peter did, but at least you would have tried something different. So Peter escapes from that, and I guess he takes the slip ring, which is the thing that can help you make the portals, which they don't have to always have that, so I don't know exactly. I forget what exactly that little ring does. But maybe it helps you focus your power or something, because earlier in the film, Ned does he accidentally makes sparks shoot out like Doctor Strange magic, and then he gets the ring, and then he can really make the portals. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I just think it kind of helps you use the power. I don't know why Peter took it necessarily. Does he know about the power? Maybe. They don't really say. He just kind of takes the cube thing, and he takes that. And he kind of deliberately takes it. I guess he does know about it. That way he can't make another portal to come out of there. But it seems like they can already do that without... I don't know. It's so confusing. Wong does it a lot. And I don't think he ever was wearing it. But he's the Sorcerer Supreme now. So maybe you don't have to be a Sorcerer Supreme to necessarily do it. But he does it in Infinity War. And he's not... I don't know if he's wearing it in that or not. Maybe there's multiple of those. I need to rewatch Doctor Strange, obviously. Someone tell me in the comments if you ever see this. Okay, so he takes the stuff, and then Doctor Strange is he's out of the movie for the rest of it, basically, till the very end, which is kind of sad. I understand that they had to focus on the Peter Parker stuff and the Spider-Man stuff now, but just to have him there for the first part, and then he's gone for the rest of the movie, is just kind of like, okay, like, you couldn't cut back to him, like, trying to escape or something. It's not his movie. It's Spider-Man No Way Home. So I understand that you don't want to have too much Doctor Strange in there, but you can't just have him in there for the first part and then kind of just throw him out of the movie, in my opinion. Because there's a disconnect there. The whole time that they're fighting and stuff, I'm like, when's Doctor Strange going to come back? He's got to, right? And he does at some point. But, yeah. Okay, so then there's that whole thing, and then he's trying to help the villains. Instead of killing them, he wants to help them control their powers and get back to normal, and then be good scientist men again. And there's funny jokes about, I fell into a deal of eels. I fell into a hydrogen collider. A lot of goofy stuff like that. And it's like, haha, references. And I'm something of a scientist myself. Loved it. Fucking lost my shit. Everyone laughed. Pretty much. Great moment. I'm just so excited to hear other people talk about this. You know, when I go back to work on Tuesday, I'm going to listen to a lot of discussions and hear people's favorite moments. Oh, God, it's so good. So then that's the plot. Aunt May's there helping out. I love that they included MJ and Ned so much in this because they could be very much sideline characters. But Doctor Strange is like, or Peter specifically is like, I need my friends' help. Don't know why he thinks that, what are they gonna do? But they do some stuff. They're around, and it's good because we have to have their dynamic. We have to, for this movie, really, we have to feel them as lovers and best friends, because that's the whole point, really, of this movie when we get to the end. So I'm glad that they're there, and they have stuff to do. They're in charge of the portal, and they're in charge of like helping him. They're the guys in the chair. Like, you found him yet? Where he's in this direction. It works. They don't necessarily need to be there, but they are. There's no Friday or Jarvis in his head to help him locate things, so they're being the locators, helping him track. It's good. Okay, so then that's all happening, and they go to their little hideout. Peter and them Norman are working on some cures and stuff, and then Norman is like, "Ha ha! I'm not good. I'm evil, Spider-Man. We can rule this city." And he betrays them, and there's a fucking bad scene where Peter gets his ass whooped by this old ass man. I know he's the Green Goblin and he has super strength, but my God, he gets his ass kicked. I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is probably the weakest of the Spider-Men, which is shocking. Maybe Tobey Maguire's weaker. I'm trying to think of what kind of badass stunts he's pulled off. He stopped that train, which is pretty cool. What other superhuman feats has he done? He's held an entire carrier, like a big trolley thing, with just one hand. So he's very strong, but Tom Holland's Spider-Man is really strong because he's done a lot of strong things. He's held that whole entire thing up in Civil War, that big like airplane type thing, and then he almost held a boat together from falling apart. So he's done a lot of crazy strong things, but he really takes a lot of damage. And maybe they just upped the power of Green Goblin for him to be this strong, because he really beats the shit out of them. Maybe Peter just wasn't expecting that he was that strong. Don't know. But also, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, he doesn't really do anything super duper superhuman strengthy that I remember off the top of my head. And I just rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man. I don't remember Spider-Man 2 that much of what he did. But I know the one thing that he did in The Amazing Spider-Man, is he dodged bullets. Like with his spider sense, there was a guy like 10 feet away from him shooting at him, and he dodged all the bullets. And I was like, there's no way this man can ever be touched. He dodged bullets. His spider sense is insane. There's no way he can ever be touched. And the same thing goes for Peter Parker, or for Tom Holland, because he dodged all that shit, all those drones, and he was flipping around everywhere. He trusted his spider sense. Excuse me. And there's no way that, like, I just don't understand how he can ever get hit with his spider sense, because unless he's just really not focused and he's really off. But it's up for debate. Spider sense is not 100% effective, I guess, unless you're going to get shot point blank. So, and that was a funny line later, because I don't think they've ever no one's ever said the word spider sense in any of these movies ever. So Peter says, he says, concentrate on your tingle, focus, trust the tingle, and we'll win this. And I was like, it's funny. He calls it the tingle because it's the Peter tingle. It's pretty good. It's fun that no one's ever talked. I don't think there's. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's in none of the movies they said that no one says spider sense. I don't think so. That's fun. Then they show up. Where was I at? Okay, they kill Aunt May. They kill Aunt May after Peter gets his ass kicked. The glider rams into her, and I was like, oh my God, she's fucking dead. And she gets up, and then she's like, I'm fine. I'm like, oh God, okay. Because I knew they were like, we got to trick you, because it obviously looked like she was fatally wounded, but oh no, she's okay. All right, good. And then it hits you like, oh no, they tricked us. She is really wounded. She's going to die. And she gives with great power comes great responsibility. She says that in the third different way. There's 3 ways that it's been said now, but it roughly is the same thing. With great power comes great responsibility. And I was like, holy shit, they Uncle Bend us with Aunt May. And my mind blown. And I'm getting chills thinking about it. Really super sad. Tom Holland does an amazing job. He's really killing it with this acting, Aunt May, and she looks terrible. Like when she dies, her face is like her eyes don't close. It's not, super overly done emotional where she's like, I'm dead, I'm closing my eyes. She's just like she goes, and he thinks like, come on, you're not dead. It's so sad, so sad. And we've had a lot of build up with this character because we've been with Aunt May since Homecoming, and I love the way they've handled this. Do I like that she died? No. I wish that, because this is a very low point for Peter. I mean, let's fast forward a little bit. He has no one at the end of this movie. He realizes that MJ and Ned may be better off without him, just for the fact that they can be safe. And I love the fact that he's wanting to tell Mary Jane that, I love you, you know me, we are dating, we had your mind erased, I'm Spider-Man. Give her the whole story, but then she moves her hair out of her face, and she sees the Band-Aid, and he's like, oh shit, got hurt. And he's like, that was because of me. If she wasn't there, if I didn't put her in harm's way, maybe she wouldn't have got hurt, and oh man, she might die because of me. And he decides to leave, and I was like, oh man, that's so good. It's so like, I mean, it resonates, and they did it in such a good way to where you understand it. It's just like masterful. So going back, so Aunt May dies, and Peter is so upset, and he wants revenge. And then I was like, God, this is before the two Spider-Men show up. So this is the biggest thing. The tone is ridiculous here, because we just see Aunt May die. Peter's crying. Everyone in the theater is sad. And I was like, God damn it. Maybe they're not going to introduce the new Spider-Man, the other two Spider-Men. Because how can we go from Aunt May dying to, hey, wacky fun Spider-Man stuff. I'm hanging on the ceiling. I'm crawling around like a spider. It's me, Andrew Garfield. It's me, Tobey Maguire. Let's all cheer. Yay, it's Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Yay. Oh, right. Aunt May's fucking dead. And I was like, maybe they're not going to introduce these guys, because how the fuck do you make that work? And you don't. That's just the simple fact of it. You don't. The very next scene, there's a dinner. Ned and MJ are at a dinner table. Not really eating. They're just kind of there trying to figure out what they should do with the cube and Peter. And Ned's like, hey, I'm going to try this. He does the little... And he makes a portal, and he's like, find Peter Parker. And then here's Peter Parker, and they were like, oh, is he gonna, what the fuck? Oh, yeah, ah, and it's Andrew Garfield, and he's like, hey guys, it's me, Andrew Garfield. And he's like, I'm a Spider-Man. He goes on the ceiling, and I'm like, I'm super excited to see Andrew Garfield, but I'm like, oh my god, Aunt May's dead, guys, what the fuck? And then we see Tobey Maguire show up, and I was like, oh man, he's not in the suit. What are we doing? He's dressed like a cool youth pastor. And then it's the funniest line to me in the whole fucking movie is Ned saying, he's like, oh, it's just some guy. And Tobey Maguire, he totally looks just like some guy. He's the definition of, oh, it's just some guy. So funny. And he steps through and he's like, hi. And he shoots the web out. And I mean, they talked about it too. They talked about the web coming out of just his wrist. And I always thought that was hilarious. I always thought, when I first saw that growing up, this is the only Spider-Man thing I ever saw was the movie. I thought that's just what happened. And then in other iterations of Spider-Man, he has the web cartridges that he made and all that. And it turns out and I thought that was weird. I was like, oh, doesn't it just come out of his wrist? And it turns out, no. It's weird that it comes out of his wrist, not that the other people use cartridges. Literally, almost every other Spider-Man uses the cartridges. So, and then they talked about it, and it's really funny. And so all our spider guys are introduced, and they have a good fun scene there. And then a hard cut back to Peter up on a rooftop, and it's at his place where he feels sorry for himself, or he cries or whatever. And he's up there really letting it flow, the tears. MJ comes and gives him a hug, Ned gives him a hug, and they're like, we brought some guys here to help. And it's like, hey, we're the spider guys. And they're sitting there and they start talking about it. They talk about what's happened. They talk about their spider past. And everything that has Spider happened to them, and it gets real deep and emotional, and it gives me the chilly willies, guys. It was the most epic, awesome thing I ever saw in my life when they talk on that roof, and it's like so sad, and they talk about everything they've been through, and we could just wallow in misery for a little bit, and I really enjoyed that. And they said, Peter says, Tom Holland says, she told me before she died, with great power. And then Tobey Maguire says, great responsibility. And they all look at each other and they're like, oh my gosh, that's what my Uncle Ben said to me. That's what my Uncle Ben said to me. And then that's what Aunt May said to him. And it's so great. And I was thinking about, I just get chill. That's the most chills I've ever had in my goddamn life. It'll never be not cool that this shit happened. To see all of the Spider-Men on screen at the same time, losing my fucking mind, still thinking about it, and I'm gonna watch this movie again. It's probably one of the best things that's ever happened as far as filmmaking goes. I just can't believe it's been 20 years since Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man, almost 20 years, and he's back as Spider-Man again. It's lovely. I could talk about this forever, but that's the biggest issue, the tone. And then we go back to, hey, let's fix these guys. And there's some goofy stuff, some more funny stuff about Ned is the best friend, and Tobey Maguire's best friend betrayed him and tried to kill him, and then he died. And Ned's like, oh shit. So he's like, I will never betray you, Peter, and I never try to kill you. It's so funny. And so then there's that goofy, funny stuff. And then we're going to try to fight the villains, which is a great scene. There's like Avengers talk. What's the Avengers? They don't know about the Avengers. So great dialogue. You're amazing, man. Toby's like, you're amazing. Oh, we get it. He's the amazing Spider-Man. References. Excuse me. And then we have a big finale fight. Epic. And Doctor Strange comes back, makes the whole world forget Peter, which I don't understand how that spell works, because, I mean, they need, like, that's, I just don't understand the logistics of it. How did that work? How did everyone forgetting Peter stop? Like, did he perform another spell like the first spell, but this time it was actually correct, so it canceled out the previous spell? Don't know. I thought he had to stop the other spell before he could cast a new spell. Obviously not. Just casting a new spell cancels out the old spell. That's the explanation, I guess. So, no one remembers Peter. There's a scene where Happy is fucking at the gravesite, and he's there too. And he's like, how did you know her? And it's so sad, because Happy's like the only... Happy, Ned, and MJ are the only things that Peter has left. And why does he not tell Happy that who he is? Maybe he will later. But the implications are that no one knows who he is. So not even Nick Fury. No one. Pretty crazy. No one knows who Peter Parker is. And now he's going through life. He's got a small shitty apartment. All he has is Spider-Man and his powers. And his responsibility, because he has great power. So, man, I'm so interested to see where they go with this. And then, of course, we get the tease at the very end. Little symbiote action. So we see Tom Hardy. I was thinking, Tom? No, that's not right. But it is. There's two Toms. Tom Hardy, Tom Holland. Tom Hardy, as the Venom character, he is in this universe. And then he's out of the universe, but it kind of seems like he was already there before this thing happened. So why would he get taken out of the universe? Very questionable about how this whole thing works. And if the symbiote, excuse me, maybe he was just taken back to where he was before the spell was cast. Like, the spell got cast and he got transported somewhere else. So maybe when the new spell happened, he just transported back to where he was. Even though he's still in the same universe, he just got teleported somewhere else. And how did he know about Peter? Does the Venom, because I guess there is two types of Eddie Brock, but this Eddie Brock didn't know that Peter Parker, so why would he come to this universe unless he knew him from somewhere else? But Venom maybe knows a Peter Parker, But how? Because we see the whole origin story of Venom in the first Venom movie, and there's no way that he really came across Peter Parker. So it's very mysterious, and I need to watch a video to someone can explain it. Hopefully, I mean, but this little piece of symbiote that got left over, is it because it's alien and it's like different or something resistant to magic that it didn't disappear as well? Like one little piece can stay for some reason. Don't know, but you have to set up Venom somehow, I suppose, in this universe. And man, seeing Tom Holland as Venom would be really crazy. I mean, I don't think, how is that going to work? Because Tom Holland is not that, like, we've never seen him mad at all, I don't think. We see him mad in this movie, but he still doesn't feel like on his face, we see some rage, but like not far enough to where he's really gonna, he's gonna kill him. He was gonna kill the Green Goblin, but he didn't. Saved by Tobey Maguire. But I don't, it's so interesting. I can't wait to see where this goes. We'll find out in 2 years, which is way shorter than it used to be. It used to be like 5 years, but movies get produced so fast these days. So we'll see what happens. And maybe we'll get some answers in Doctor Strange, which is in a couple months, really. So there you go, everybody. That's the spoiler talk. I got to get ready to go. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. This will be on YouTube. You're watching it on YouTube right now if you're on YouTube. So yeah, leave questions, leave comments. Thank you again. And we'll see you next week for the next review. I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be something cool. Oh, it'll be Matrix. Matrix is coming out. All right. Bye-bye.